So good morning, everyone. It's good to have you. Perhaps a good idea today to shortly talk a little bit about the science of success, the signposts of meditation practice, so that you know how to orient yourself and what it is that you can expect if your practice is correct. I know that it's quite common that these days many things are considered correct, and it's not often received with, let's say, a kindness or an understanding if someone says this method should be correct or this method is a correct method. It almost seems like I'm saying all other methods are not correct when I say this method is correct. It's like when you say, oh, this flower is beautiful, you seem to be negating the beauty of all other flowers. Well, that's not what I'm saying, obviously. But if you practice a method correctly, which is a fact, you go based on causality. If this happens, then that happens. If that happens, then this happens. So if you don't know the chain of causality in your meditation practice, then your seated practice will likely be a kind of dabbling. You'll sit down and you'll just try to focus the mind on the breath, I guess, something like that. And because people are so uncertain of what they do, then they jump around a lot. They change their practice every other week, every other month, every other year. It's jumping around because they don't know what to look for. So they plateau with their practice really quick. Okay, I'm a bit more calm, but now what's next? I don't know, it doesn't really do the trick anymore for me. I don't feel any progression. So I shift my method, and as I shift my method, due to the presence of novelty, I feel excitement. I feel like, wow, it's working again. I'm getting somewhere. I'm going deeper. Now, why is it that you're going deeper when you're changing your technique, when you're changing your practice? Because it's novelty, and what does novelty do? It captivates you. Something new, it's exciting, catches your attention. But it makes you concentrate on what you're doing. And when you concentrate on what you're doing, the result is that what you're doing is going to deepen. If you bring joy and passion and curiosity to your practice, all those things that happen when you are engaged in a novelty practice, then you can expect there to be more tangible results at first. But then the same thing will happen, that will happen always. After a while, the novelty fades, then it becomes standard, then it turns into a grind, and then you'll start asking yourself questions like, what am I doing here? Does that really work? Perhaps it's not the right teacher. Perhaps I should read another book. Let's have a look what's on YouTube. Maybe there is something interesting about meditation. That is because we don't understand the causality of meditation practice and the actual goal of meditation practice. All over the world, no matter the tradition, proper meditation practice follows the same laws. Everywhere. Doesn't matter whether you're a Christian mystic that practices meditation in prayer, or you're a Hindu that practices meditation on deities, or a tantric that practices deity yoga, fusion with the deities, or a Buddhist that practices breathing meditation, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. There's the same laws that apply and the same outcomes if you practice those causes. So what are the causes, and what are they leading to? The first cause for meditation practice, which also often again is overlooked, what do you think is it? What has to precede meditation practice for meditation practice to actually be fruitful? Can you just practice meditation? You just kind of just sit down and you just start and you'll just get results? No matter what?
So, there needs to be a need for it.
Yes?
Just being, oh yeah, let's meditate because that's fun. It's like,
okay.
I need something, we're searching for something to help.
A deeper need than the need for fun, for example. Like if you just go for entertainment, you'll stop practicing as soon as you're entertained. If you just go for healing, you'll stop the practice as soon as you're healed. Happens to a lot of people. They come to our retreats, for example, they are totally like stressed out from their everyday life. And after 4 days of retreat, guess what? They have wound down to a great extent. Their stress is gone, they feel wonderful. And they go back home, and because they're fired up now, it's like, wow, this meditation thing really works. They continue their practice a little bit, and they stay on a plateau of being relatively stress-free for a while. But since their motivation was to just be not stressed, after a while, then it fades out. There's no higher goal. So if it's just fun, for example, as you mentioned, or just the absence of being wired in your body, then this will stop as soon as that is achieved. Right? So it won't pull you any higher. So motivation obviously is one thing, but what is it? Let's say you have a motivation to practice meditation. Let's say your motivation is deeper than the mundane, ordinary motivation of just being a bit more free from stress or something like that. What do you need next? What's the foundation for meditation practice to actually work? Knowledge. Yes, you need some knowledge, although you really need very little knowledge to actually start. This is a common obstacle for, I don't want to say the typical Westerner that approaches meditation, but it's a common obstacle for people who are head heavy, who are putting a heavy emphasis on intellectual knowledge, which is very common these days. Everything can be Googled. It's the age of information, so therefore people often want to just go for knowledge, and they're happy once they have the knowledge, but doesn't go any deeper into it. The knowledge isn't integrated, it isn't embodied, it doesn't become an experience. It isn't alive. Right? For meditation, it's very little knowledge required. For example, it would be totally enough to get the instruction, sit still. That's enough. For somebody that is honest with themselves and sincere, if they really adhere to this single instruction, they will go onto an adventure. They will go into a profound journey of self-discovery. If they just only follow that one thing, don't move. Sit still. And you'll discover a lot. You learn all about your different escapes. You learn all about your coping mechanisms. And you learn how they do not work and how they do fail you in times of need. So you need to become creative. You need to find a better way that helps you to manage or maneuver this valley of suffering that you're in when you cannot move. That's provoking your innate genius. It makes you find solutions because you can't escape. But you have to be very perceptive and you have to be very curious. But it would be theoretically enough of an instruction. You don't need to know much more. Another one is just be present. It's enough knowledge. Sit down, stop. Stop thinking of the past, stop thinking of the future. Really do this. Take it to heart. There's a master, I think it was Nisargadatta Maharaj. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but his instruction was from his own teacher, rest in the state of I am. And he did just this. Did nothing else. But he did nothing else day and night. Constantly coming back to I am. Abandoning everything else. Total presence. Complete devotion to presence. He attained the highest goal. Just through that. It's not very It's not very complicated. So there's not so much need for knowledge in the classic sense as intellectual knowledge. But something that is very often overlooked, and definitely a huge foundation, is lifestyle. Your lifestyle may completely oppose what you seek in your meditation practice. So you're basically in your own way. You're trying to build meditation, and through the rest of the day, you're busy destroying your attainments. You're trying to get some peace, and as soon as the session ends, you're building agitation, distraction, and so forth for the rest of the 24 hours. And then you sit again, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, diligently trying to release all the stress that you've built in the past 24, 23 hours. Minus sleep, minus deep sleep. I'm not talking dreaming sleep, where you're still active, right? So that is hugely important. What's your lifestyle like? Is it conducive to the practice of meditation, or is it an obstacle to your practice of meditation? To answer that, you need to be very honest with yourself. And you need to be very observant. You need to understand that what you are doing, how you are thinking, how you're interacting with people. In other words, how are you seeking to avoid yourself? And then you come to a meditation practice where you are just spending time fully aware of yourself, spending time with yourself. Are those two times contradictory, or are they unified? Are they harmonious, balanced? That's what we need to find out first. For a lot of us, it's the case we're coming from a long history, a long ancestral history of avoiding ourselves, avoiding our pains, avoiding our distractions, like our how you call it, our tendency to be in a constant state of motion, always moving. And then you want to go into stillness, which is the very definition of meditation. Going beyond movement of the mind, becoming completely, utterly still. So if your lifestyle is all about movement, particularly movement of emotions and mind, intellectual movement, and you are working the other way, so your meditation won't get very far. That's a fact. That's why a lot of people, most people in this world, do not attain high levels of meditation, let alone the basics, really. Like, what are the basics? Be able to sit perfectly still for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Those are the basics. A lot of people can't even sit still for that amount of time. There's so much stress in their nervous system. They're constantly wired in fight or flight mode. They're so restless within themselves, so uncomfortable in their own skin. Why? There is no other cause than their lifestyle. It's our modern lifestyle that makes us suffer a lot. That's the reason. It's greed, agitation, fear, worries, the devotion to distraction, the devotion to an endless consumerism and productivity. It's a complete conflict with stillness and peace. So our lives, if you look around the world, is basically screaming the opposite of peace. It screams agitation, entertainment, constant stimulation, overstimulation. And meditation whispers the opposite. And so a lot of people are attracted to meditation, really, so they can become more efficient in the realm of agitation. Like, I'm practicing meditation so I can be more efficient at work. Mindfulness on the working place. So you can be more productive. You can be a better consumer. Completely wrong reason. It's not at all what this is for. These old arts have not been discovered or built so that people can be more obsessed with the realm of the senses. They're actually leading you to the opposite, which is by far more liberating, peaceful, beautiful, and good than anything the senses could ever offer you. It's kind of like we're making this deal where we say, okay, give me sense pleasures. As long as you entertain my senses, I'm okay. But when I can't entertain my senses anymore, then I start getting desperate and I'm turning to other things, like meditation, for example. Hope that this works. But as soon as meditation has worked and you're back in your usual kind of grind, and the senses work again, and you have recharged your energy, boom, you go right back into the senses. That's very common. So lifestyle is the basis. If your lifestyle is conducive, meditation will work out. So that's the first kind of cause. Let your lifestyle be conducive to peace. In many religions and in many spiritual systems, there is a set of rules that you're given in the beginning, like a type of ethical behavior, moral behavior, a conduct, a code of conduct. Don't kill, don't steal, don't lie, don't do all these things. Why do you think this is so common in every religion? They tell you basically don't do bad stuff. Why? Why would I not lie? It's pretty comfortable to lie because it keeps me from a lot of trouble, doesn't it? If I lie, people don't know who I really am. They only know my appearance, and so then they deal with my appearance, and that's quite comfortable because it keeps me from having to expose my real self, which would be pretty uncomfortable because I'm actually thinking of myself as a loser. So it's much better to portray myself as a winner. It's much more easy and convenient. I love social media. It allows me to portray myself the way I'm not and get all the credits for it. It's awesome. Lying is nice. I put a filter on my face so I don't have to deal with the truth of being uncomfortable in my own skin. I can comfortably avoid it. So tell me, why should I not lie? It's nice. Bingo. How can you know who you really are? Which is the point of meditation practice. It leads you to a knowledge of who you really are. If you start off with worshipping pretense, how can you be calling yourself a seeker of truth if your words convey the opposite of truth? Right? If we're not honest with ourselves, how can we ever discover truth? Let alone rest in it. It'll be the most uncomfortable thing ever. Hence the many movements to evade ourselves, to escape, because it's uncomfortable facing up with ourselves. The reason why we're uncomfortable when we sit down and close our eyes and look inside is simply a sense of guilt. We're not really liking ourselves. We're ashamed. We don't like who we are. A lot of people nowadays, they paint this knowledge over with just aggressively pushing this narrative of, I'm a goddess, I'm amazing, I'm a Sigma male. All this bullshit. What is that? It's just insecurity. But very conveniently packaged, and everyone buys into this. So because everyone does it, it's so easy to do it too and just feel it's right, because the herd goes that way. I'll go the way of the herd. I at least feel less ashamed of doing what I'm doing. If I was the only one that does that, I would stick out like a sore thumb. I wouldn't do it. But since everyone kind of does it, I just move along. And it comes at a high price, this kind of stuff. You're lying to ourselves. I'm great, I'm fantastic, I'm the best, I'm the number one. I can do this. It screams to me, I'm hearing all the underlying insecurities. I don't like myself. I feel worse than other people. I constantly need to compare myself to other people because I'm so insecure. I receive all my validation through fake pictures online of myself. My audience is only through screens because I'm scared of actually connecting to people because I don't like myself, etc., etc., etc. This is just obvious. So, if we buy into this kind of stuff and then call ourselves truth seekers, it's a joke. It's opposing qualities. How would that ever work out? If we are worshipping appearance, we will never encounter truth. If you're happy with your appearance, you've lost. That's it. There is no spiritual path. If you are satisfied with just giving off an appearance, if you're living your life in order to be perceived a certain way, if that's enough for you, then there is no spiritual path. Because from the ground up, it's not honest. It's not sincere. So it won't really hold its ground. See, a lot of people nowadays are telling about themselves that they're meditating. But you can quickly see when they sit, they're so restless, so uncomfortable with themselves. It's obvious. So if your goal is deeper than appearance, and you really go into meditation because you really want to know yourself and you want to uproot suffering, not just cleverly manage it, if you're not just interested in having a nice little painkiller, but you want to delete the root of the pain, and it pulls you deep into the practice, now you're on path, now you're on track. So, what's the cause for meditation to arise? Now we have covered lifestyle, we've covered our attitude, all based on sincerity, seeking out truth, being curious, being afraid of suffering, not wanting to suffer. You enter the path of what to do next. First of all, posture. In order for meditation really arise, you need to have stillness in the body, meaning you need to train yourself not to just give into every little impulse of your body. If your body tells you, scratch this, move your knee, shift your back, and you're following all of this, will you ever be able to transcend your body? No chance. And I always say this as a little tip, to sharpen all of your eyes. If you ever go to any meditation class anywhere in this world, you look at the teacher and take a good look. When you sit and everyone is sitting quiet, is the teacher and the chief students, are they quiet and still in their body? That's a very telling sign. Then it's worth staying and investigating more. But if everyone in the room is just like super nervous and everyone is like shaking around and everyone is constantly escaping their bodies, there is no skill. I'm afraid to say that, but there is no skill. It doesn't matter the philosophy behind it. The skill must be visible in the body. Meditation has to change your body, not just some intellectual fantasy, some idea. It has to be transforming in your nervous system. Your body has to change through it. Meaning when you're under pressure, you're calm, you're released, you're kind. Not just as there is a little pressure from your body, you're immediately caving in. Or you're changing your posture, being totally uncomfortable constantly, fueling the continuation of that discomfort by constantly chasing comfort in the body. You can already tell. Here is somebody that is devoted to chasing comfort in the body, not beyond. That's not a meditator. That's a comfort seeker. It's very different. And I'm not advocating that you must be uncomfortable. That's the same example I gave in the beginning. If I'm saying that this rose flower is nice, I'm not saying that this lily is not nice. Neither do I say that when you're chasing comfort, you are not meditating. Doesn't mean that you must not chase comfort, or you must be uncomfortable. That's wrong too. There's people too who are just devoting their entire practice to being uncomfortable. Like they force themselves to sit still for many hours, and they're a bundle of tension. They're not at all happy and relaxed. You can find such practitioners as well. Very much like a stick up their butt practitioners. Totally stiff, rigid, emotional ice cubes or something like that, There has to be balance, a middle way. But in meditation practice, you can definitely see a lot. There's a beautiful little book about it. It's called The Cloud of Unknowing. It's about a Christian mystic who talks to his student. I think he writes like letters to his student. They're living in this kind of monastery. It's a very old text. I think it's a medieval text. And he talks even about this. I mean, a Christian mystic talking about all those other monks who are talking about uplifting, amazing lights and profound spiritual experiences, communication with God and so forth. But then you see their bodies are all shivering and like turning and constantly evading discomfort. You can tell, this monk says it very clearly, you can tell that they're all intellect but no real experience. It's not embodied. The word to integrate an experience, to embody an experience, that's what it's about. It's not difficult to have insights, like little spiritual insights into impermanence or emptiness or inner peace, centeredness, all these kind of things. This is not too difficult. To see lights and the like. Not so difficult. To have these profound aha moments, like, wow, oh my God, that's life-changing. It's a profound insight. But that's just a glimpse. Now you need to embody that. You need to bring this insight, this short understanding, this flash, you need to bring it into your body. It needs to become alive in your form. So you're embodying the profound spiritual insight like that. That's what this is about. You sit down and you practice meditation. It's to embody those insights, to let them become alive in your body, in your presence. In order to achieve that, you need to first, of course, learn not to be reactive to every little impulse that comes up. So be still. Don't move. Don't escape, but deal with it. If you're uncomfortable, ask yourself, why are you really uncomfortable? Oh, because my knee hurts. Okay, let's really investigate this, because I'm going to be here for 15-20 minutes, I can't move, and my knee hurts. So how can I deal with it now? I can't move, okay. So what is really causing all this drama, all this pain, all this suffering? Gradually, if you don't run away, you will understand that it's about 95% of mental stuff around the knee pain that makes it unbearable. And if you stop that mental stuff around the knee pain goes away. That's a real insight. That's something fascinating to discover, that the largest percentage of your discomfort is mental. It's not actually physical. You can't really blame your body. Your body is just a bunch of feelings. But the suffering, that happens somewhere else. It doesn't happen in the body. And you can discover that if you don't run away. But if you run away, you cannot discover that. Does that make sense? Because you run away. Right? So running away should be avoided as a cause for meditation. What's the opposite of running away? Say again? Not really. Staying or looking in is not really the opposite of running away. The opposite or the other extreme would be to fight, right? Run towards, yes? Run towards and fight. What's that? Fight or flight, isn't it? Okay? So, if you're sitting in meditation, your tendency is going to be to either flee and escape the discomfort or to fight with it. You must avoid both. So what can you do? You have to understand it. In order to understand it, you have to look into it and you have to stay. Yes? And alone in that, there is huge learning. Just staying, resting calmly, and learning to bring comfort into your discomfort gradually through release, relaxation. That is what is transforming your body. Imagine every day if you sit down, regardless of how you feel, and you bring comfort into that session, you are going to become more and more comfortable. Your nervous system is toning down. You're not living in fight or flight anymore because you're not continuing it. You're not following the impulse of fight or flight anymore. So the fight or flight response becomes less and less. So you become relaxed. It's pure logic, this one. So that's why I advocate for staying and looking and understanding, not for escaping or fighting. Like I can sit for a while, okay, and when I sit there for a longer time, I tend to just bounce around between wanting to run away and wanting to fight with my pain. And only if I stay around there and I become aware of this and I start to really understand the pain, stay and relax through it and be kind with it, can I really relax. So this is one skill that is causal for deeper meditation to arise. The next skill is presence. So you have relaxation, then you have presence. Not giving so much weight anymore to thoughts about the future or the past. Abandon them, let them go. But because until now, these thoughts have allowed you to escape. Again, you can escape into the future or you can escape into the past. Now you're not doing that anymore. You're staying here and you're committed to the truth in this moment. You're committed to the actual experience of life. You can then start to relax away from past and future. And with that, the mental activity greatly is reduced. So you're not wasting a lot of energy anymore. That goes into just hollow projections. But that energy flows back into your being right here, right now. Translating into progress in meditation. Then you let go of all the inner narrative, all the commentary, all the words and sentences in your head, and you enter silence. You experience even more truly, more directly what life is, who you are. You experience yourself totally beyond any stories. What could be more honest? Right? Our mind is kind of like a filter, like an Instagram filter. It layers on top of the truth of your being, it layers all these different stories that are all filter stories. They're not actually real. So when those stories are gone, you have a much more authentic encounter with yourself. And if you bring relaxation and kindness into that, you find more peace with yourself on a much deeper level. If you do that a lot, it becomes embodied. So all that, step by step, these are the first couple of steps. If you apply them gradually, they will lead to profound changes, not just intellectually, but on all the levels of your being, most importantly, on the level of your body. This is what you want. It's your body that acts right now. It's your body that's impulsive. It's your nervous system that is making decisions for you. If you're wired, if you're on fight or flight mode all the time, your nervous system is constantly going to make erratic decisions, which are not very beneficial for yourself or others around you. So there you have it. It's just a bunch of benefits, and it's a bunch of explanations on how important it is to tend for the right cause and then look out for the result of that, which is tangible in your body and leads to a much more lasting change, much more permanent change than just mental ideas. I mean, nowadays everyone can turn themselves into an expert of meditation. You just read a book on meditation and you learn it kind of by heart, and you read it a couple of times and you visit a couple of courses. You can think of yourself as an expert of meditation and start giving your own kind of courses. It's blind leading the blind, That's nowadays, this is a problem. Everyone can self-publish books. Everyone can post videos. Everyone has an opinion on everything. But really, very, very few people actually back that up with living experience. That's what it's all about, though. That's the point. The living, breathing experience. It's very easy to talk the talk. I have people who call me, ask if we do like meditation teacher trainings or something like this. I usually tell them, yeah, sure. If you're willing to commit for about 5 to 8 to 10 years or so, they're shocked. We're used to just quickly buying something, a small weekend course, and doing a little bit so I can have the appearance as if I'm a meditation teacher. Again, worshipping appearance over truth. This is going to twist everything. This is not good for anyone, really. That's why sharpen your eyes. You need to know what the real causes are, how it manifests in the body, through your own practice and through understanding, proper understanding. Then you can see, you can tell for yourself what is worthwhile following. Where is your time well invested? Where is your energy well invested, etc. All right, just a bit of rambling. Good, guys. Have a good week. Enjoy. Have fun.